All right, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be able to speak to you on this beautiful winter day. Um, Today, I thought I would answer the most asked question I get. I get messages literally every single day on this one question, and it is, how do I publish my book? And that's the question that we'll be answering. So we'll be speaking on the 4 avenues to publishing your book. There are a lot of ways that you can go about to publish your book, but there are 4 main ways that we're going to focus on. If you have a book and you are ready to publish, I want you to take notes, figure out which option is best for you. So get a pen, get a page, write down. This will be most of the research that you will ever need to actually start figuring out how do you go about publishing. So the first thing to note is that the 4 main ways of publishing is: number 1, traditional publishing; number 2, publishing, self-publishing with a company; number 3, self-publishing through outsourcing; and number 4, hybrid publishing. So those are the 4 ways that we're focusing on. And then after that, I'll give you 2 other options, which I don't really recommend, but those are options for you that we'll go through. So the first option, traditional publishing. Traditional publishing is the type of publishing that people normally think of. It is the conventional way that people publish. This is the best type of publishing if you have absolutely no money. No money. So this publishing method is completely free. Traditional publishing is when you publish your book through a publishing house. So in other words, you are connecting with a publishing house and they are the ones who will be publishing your book for you. And they are experienced in publishing. They know exactly how do you go about publishing your book. Your book comes out beautifully. It's cost-free. That's the way that people usually think of when they think of publishing. A lot of times when people think of publishing, they think of people like Jonathan Ball Publishers, Penguin Publishers. Those are publishing houses that work on a royalty basis. So in exchange, you sell your book to them and they give you a contract where they publish your book for free and they give you some royalties of the book. So if you want to go through a publishing, if you don't have any money and you want to publish, then this is the way that you're going to go through traditional publishing. So let's go through, how do you get yourself a traditional publisher? So the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do research. If you want a publisher and you're not willing to do research, then I'm sorry, you don't want a publisher. You don't want to publish. You're just being very lazy. It's a very simple process. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go onto Google and you're going to type in publishers in South Africa or publishers in the UK, wherever you want to publish, publishers in this place. You're going to skip past the first few ones because those are usually sponsored ads and you don't want those. Those are self-publishers. You don't want those. You're going to look through a list of 100 different publishers. Make a list of 20 publishers that you want to be published by. And you will know they are trad publishers because there's no cost. If they ask you, if they say, send us your book and we'll send you a quote, no, that's not a trad publisher. If they say, these are our rates, this is the price, no, that's not a trad publisher. It will have to be free. As soon as there's a price tag attached, you know that is not a traditional publisher. So you're going to make a list, write down in a book, 20 publishers in South Africa that you want to get published by. What you're going to do is you're going to get their names, you're going to get their contact details, you're going to get their website, you're going to get their submission guidelines. Those are the things. When I first started publishing, I made a list of 22 publishers that I want to use. I got their names, I got the submission guidelines, and in those submission guidelines, it's different per publisher. At the time, it was Penguin Publishers. And Penguin Publishers said they want the first 3 chapters of your book, they want the synopsis of your book, and they want an author bio. Though that's what they had. Other publishers asked, they want your full manuscript, they want a chapter-by-chapter synopsis, and a 3-page author bio. So it's different per publisher. You need to make sure you have for each publisher what their submission guidelines are. Then they will give you a contact email. And that contact email is specific to the genre that you are writing in. So if you write fantasy, there's a specific email that you will send your manuscripts to. If you're writing non-fiction, there's a specific email that you will send it to. And they will tell you exactly what do you put in the subject line. Querying for fantasy, querying for this, and so forth. That is how you're going to start querying to get yourself a publisher. So you do your 20, you list everything that you need from them, and then you start sending them emails. One thing that you will have to note is that when you want to, with certain publishers, they don't accept unsolicited material anymore. For example, Penguin Books no longer accepts unsolicited material. That means they do not accept any requests from people who do not have literary agents. So if you don't have a literary agent, Penguin won't accept you. You can't submit to them. Now, a literary agent, for those who don't know, a literary agent is someone who works specifically with authors to get them publishing contracts. Now, they get paid on two different ways. You either pay them upfront or they get paid via your royalties. So when you go through a traditional contract with a publisher, in your contract it will be stipulated that they're going to take 80% of the profit and you're going to get a 20% royalty share. Now, a literary agent will fight for you to get a higher share because they get paid from that share. And the higher share you get, the more money they get. So a literary agent is good in that sense that they will fight to get you, but you will also get a smaller cut because they are taking a share from that. But they will do all the submissions also for you if you have a literary agent. So it's not your problem to worry about who you're going to submit to. They'll be the ones who manage all of that. Now, I'm going to continue on with trad publishers, but if you do have any questions, please put it in the chat. Alden is here. He'll tell me if there are any questions, and then I'll answer whatever questions pop up. So let's continue with trad publishers. So let's do the pros and the cons. There are obviously pros to being published traditionally, and there are cons to being published traditionally. You need to know, is it worth it for you? So let's go through some of the pros. Number one, the first pro is obviously it is free to publish. If you have absolutely no money, like a lot of people do, then traditional publishing is the way to go for you. When I first published, I went through the traditional route because at the time I was a student. I didn't have any money. That's obviously the way that I'm going to go. And obviously, when you want to publish your first book, a lot of times people think that it's a bit more credible if you have a traditional publisher because there's a whole submission process and they're checking your work to make sure that it's good work. And that's how you get those kind of publishers. So the first pro is that it's completely free. If they are charging you, it is not a traditional publisher. Right. The second one is that these publishing houses, they are far more experienced than any other publishing house. They know what works in the industry. They know what sells in this industry. Now, when you submit to them and you follow the submission guidelines, they will always ask for your author bio. And that author bio is very important because it will tell them, are you worth publishing? So in that author bio, you tell them everything about yourself. These are the things, these are the industries I have, these are how many followers I have on Instagram, these are how many followers I have on TikTok, these are how many followers I have on Facebook. I have a newsletter, I run a business, these are how many subscribers I have on my newsletter. You tell them everything that you want to tell them because the more credible you are, the more likely you are to be accepted because they know, okay, if this person is credible, their book is going to sell. So make sure you put everything in your author bio. Now, these people they're much more experienced, so they know exactly what's the distribution channels. They know what kind of books sell well. They follow trends, so they know, okay, romantasy is currently big, so let's push as much romantasy books as possible. They know which kind of bookstores to get your book into. So they are excellent at that because their entire business plan is they need to make money off your book. And if they're making money off your book, you are making money off your book. That's why we love traditional publishers. It's easier to get into the bookstores if you have a traditional publisher. Because the thing with traditional publishers is, the thing with bookstores is bookstores do not just accept anybody in unless you have a contact. So there are two ways to get into a bookstore. Well, three. The first way is, if it's a small bookstore, you can approach the owner directly and they'll put your book in. The second way is, you need a publisher and the publisher gets into contact with them, and traditional publishers are excellent at that. And the third way is, you have to get yourself a distributor. Now, traditional publishers, they act as publishers and distributors, but you can find distributors who do the job independently. So I have a distributor and the distributor gets my book into the bookstores. So I have a price that I put for my book. The distributor will raise the price so that they get a percentage of that. And then the bookstores will raise the price so that they get a percentage of that also. So if you buy from the author directly, it's cheaper. than if you buy from the bookstores, because that price has been raised like 3 times already. So it's very easy to get your book into the bookstores if you have a traditional publisher. And the fourth one is they already have marketing systems in place. Now, this is a very important one to understand. They have marketing systems in place, but that does not mean you're going to be an automatic bestseller, and it does not mean that you are going to sell automatically. They have some marketing channels in place, but as an author, it is very important that you personally have your own audience. Because I know quite a few people whose books are in the bookstores, they have a publisher and their books are not selling because they themselves, as the author, are not driving traffic to the bookstores. So as an author, you need to make sure you have an audience where you are selling, where you are pushing your books to them, and those people are running to the bookstores to buy your books. So those are the 4 pros of having a traditional publisher. Free to publish. The publishing houses are more experienced, easier to get into the bookstores, and they already have marketing systems in place. Alden, are there any questions yet? Not yet. All right. Now, let's go to the cons. Number 1, this is probably the worst con. You sell your book's rights to them. In exchange to publish your book, you have to sell the rights of your book to them. Now, people can say it's wrong. I disagree, because to publish a book is expensive. To distribute a book is expensive. It costs a lot of money. That's why you're going to a traditional publisher, because it's expensive. To edit a book is expensive. It's a lot of money. I've paid at least 16,000 Rand just to edit a book. So if you're getting a traditional publisher, they are doing these things for you completely for free. And now, because they're doing it for free, obviously they need to get something in exchange. And the first thing that they take is your book's rights. So you will sign a contract with them saying that you are selling the rights of your book, and they have exclusive rights to distribute in a specific country. That means they have the rights to your book. And the problem with that is, so let's say, especially if you're writing fiction, if someone comes and they say they want to they want to make a movie out of your book, they don't go to you, they go to the publisher, because the publisher now owns your book. So that's the hard part. There are 2 ways to get out of that. The first way is that in the contract you can have it stipulated that after a number of years you get the rights back. So with me, I got the rights back to my first book, because after 5 years the contract expires, and I asked, can I get my rights back? So I got my rights to my book back. The second way is, what they will tell you is, we can do that, but you will have to have made all that money back that we spent on your book. And they will tell you, this is amount, we spent maybe 35,000 Rand publishing your book. So until we make the 35,000 Rand back, you can't get your rights to your book back. So those are the 2 ways. So the first con is they take the rights to your book. The second one, which is another big problem, is you have to apply. And that is a tedious process. It is so irritating to have to apply to all these things, and they all have these different submission guidelines. It's a long, tedious process, but if you have no money, you're going to have to do it. This is the best option if you have absolutely no money. What I would suggest is you take 3 days out to just do querying. 3 days out to either find you a literary agent, or 3 days out to find you a publisher who accepts unsolicited material. Apply, do your research, find whose submissions are open, write out your emails, type out in a Word document your author bio, and then all you do is you edit and rearrange for whichever publishing house you're applying to. And also, it can take you years to get a deal, and that's terrible. Oh my gosh. It took me 7 years to publish my first book because of how long that process is. So I queried for the first time in 2014. 2013, December, I wrote my book. 2014, I started querying. I sent my books through. The main publisher I wanted was Penguin Publishers. And what they tell you is after 3 months, if there's no response, then it means they're just not going to accept. So they won't reply and say, sorry, we're not going to take your book. They won't reply and say, sorry, these are the problems. And they won't answer you. If they don't answer you, just know it's a no. I sent my book through to 22 publishers and all of them rejected me. None of them got back to me. Terrible. Then I wrote another book and I sent it. All the same thing. None of them got back to me. Same thing third time. The fourth round, I finally got my first publisher. That took me 7 years. So if you don't have a good audience or your book is just terrible, mine was both at the time. So if you don't have a good audience and your book is just terrible, you're probably not going to be accepted by a publisher. So it can take very long to actually get yourself a publisher. So this is the long route, but it is the free route, right? So take that. Your royalty payments are low. And when I say low, I mean somewhere around 15%. If you're lucky, you get maybe 80%. If you have a literary agent, they will fight to get you a higher route, a higher royalty, because they get paid off your royalties. So what happens is when your book is published, and let's say your book costs 100 Rand to print and you're selling it in the bookstores for 250. That means the profit that comes off that is 150 Rand. They will take at least 80% of that 150 and you are left with 20% of that. Right? That would be around 30 Rand. So you get 30 Rand of that book. The reason why they are doing that is because they are the only ones who put things at risk. They spent money. So if there's no sales, you lost nothing. You lost absolutely nothing, but they lost 35,000 Rand investing in your book. So you have to understand that they're trying to recoup the money back that they invested in you because they trusted that your book is going to sell. Right? So you get very low royalty payments. And then again, the publishing process is slow. So once, let's say they do accept you, it takes maybe 6 months or more or a year before you are published. And the reason why they do that is because there's a whole background process. So if you're someone who's hasty and maybe you want to get your book done before your 60th birthday or before your 30th birthday and you want to launch on your 30th or something, that won't work for you because you don't get to control the time, they control the time. They choose when to launch, they choose when to publish, they choose how long it's going to take, they choose how long the marketing systems are. They decide everything because as traditional publishers, they maybe know what's best for your book. So the cons are you sell the rights to your book, you have to apply, it takes you years to get a deal, the royalty payments are low, and the publishing process is slow. But again, this is the best option if, number one, you want a free deal, and number two, you don't want to handle it yourself, which you're doing self-publishing. You want somebody else to handle it for you. That would be a traditional publisher because they're experienced and they have context, so your books are going to be in the bookstores, guaranteed. So that's traditional publishing. So your first type of publishing is traditional publishing. Second type of publishing is self-publishing companies. Now, people usually put self-publishing as one bracket, which I don't like to do. I feel there's a difference between self-publishing through a company and self-publishing through outsourcing, and I'll explain the difference right now. So, self-publishing companies are companies which publish your book professionally at a price. Now, I'm speaking about these 4 types of avenues because I've used all 4 myself. So I've used a self-publishing company, I've had a traditional publisher, I've had a hybrid publisher, and I've self-published through outsourcing myself. So self-publishing company, the first good thing that I can say about this is that they give you quality work. I can't knock their work. My book, The Gloat, was published through a self-publishing company, Reach Publishers. They did excellent work. I can never knock their work. Their work is excellent. The only thing is that if you are going to go through a self-publishing company, you're going to have the budget for it. It is expensive. I think the most I've ever paid for self-publishing through a company was around 35,000 Rand. So it's a lot of money. I was doing a consultation call with somebody. Well, it wasn't he was just asking me for advice, asking me, is this price worth it? And it was 35,000 Rand. I said, for a company like that, it is worth it, because they are doing an excellent job. They know what they are doing. And a lot of times they also have distribution channels for you. So they'll get your book in Takealot. They'll get your book in the bookstores. They'll find print-on-demand services for you. They'll even create your website for you if you don't have one. So there's a lot that you can do. Before I continue, is there questions?
Definitely. So
Oh.
you have 4 sets of tabs. Shouldn't there be an easier way with today's digital marketing solution, WhatsApp, YouTube, or other social media?
Okay, we will get to that. Right at the end, I have two other options. So after the 4, I have 2 options. One is with regards to self-publishing, just as in the e-market space. So self-publishing companies. So usually the way you can find these self-publishing companies, all you need to do is type in publish a book. The very first option you get will be a self-publishing companies, because they put marketing dollars behind their business. So you'll see sponsors ads with publishers who are ready to publish your books. These are the ones you will find on Google. So they provide you with professionally published books, and you get to keep the rights. That's the good thing. You get to keep the rights to your book. And this is perfect for the people who have the money for it. So if you want to keep the rights to your book, and you want to publish professionally, and you don't also want all that stress, these are the people you go to. Right. Let's go through some of the pros and cons. No questions yet on that? No, okay. So pros and cons. Pros first of self-publishing companies. They are experienced in publishing. They know what works. They know what kind of covers work. They know they have cover designers. They have formatters. My books was beautifully formatted. My covers were beautifully designed. My editing work was spectacular. So they are excellent at what they do, or they are professional publishers, right? It saves you time and energy. So all you do is you submit your book to them. They handle everything for you. They'll just send you a message now and then. Hey, is this cover fine? Are you okay with it? Yes, no, okay. What do you think you should change? So they'll handle everything for you. They'll handle the editing for you. They'll handle the formatting. They'll do everything. They'll set up the website, and they just come to you and ask, is this fine with the website? So they're experienced and they know what to do. They save you time and energy. The best part is you get to keep the rights to your book. That's why we self-publish in the first place. You keep the rights to your book, which means you decide how you want to sell, where you want to sell. If you want to make a movie out of your book, it's your book to make the movie out of it. And obviously the work is good quality work. So those are the pros to self-publishing companies. Now we go to the cons. The cons is that it is expensive. It will cost you around 30,000 Rand plus. So if you do not have that money, you are either going to have to build that money up or take another option. All right? So it's expensive, cost you around 30,000 Rand up. You do not have control over who does what. So you can't decide, I don't want Johnny to do my editing. So because they have in-house editors who does the work, you personally don't get to decide who does the editing. You don't personally get to decide who does the cover design and the formatting. So you don't have much control over that. All they come to you for is final sign-off. Are you fine with this cover? Are you fine with this editing? And so forth. Number 3, you still need to do your own marketing. And that's basically with all of these types of publishers, you still need to do your own marketing. But with traditional publishers, there's at least some marketing behind it. With self-publishing companies, all the marketing is up onto you. If you are not marketing, your book is not selling. So, and the marketing is a big thing. I know so many people whose books are published, they're beautiful, well written, no sales. Because there are 3 parts of having a book. It is the writing phase, which is your creativity phase. It's the publishing phase, which you can give to a company. And then it is your marketing phase. And the marketing phase means you need to put on a business cap. And you need to figure out what's the best way to market this book. And when you go through a self-publishing company, you've spent that 30,000 Rand with them to get your book published, but now you're going to have to go into marketing also. And then finally, their printing prices can be high. So I've used a self-publishing company, and they give you rates to publish. So they set me about 50 books for free, or not free, but as part of the package that I got 50 books. But if you want anything more than that, they can print for more, but it costs you a certain amount of money to print, and they charge a lot to print. So instead of that, I print through a different printer. I use Bidvest. Bidvest prints excellently. I give a shout out to Bidvest because they do excellent work. They are cheap. They're good quality. That's where I print my books. So it's important that you know, okay, once my book is published through these companies, I don't have to print through them. It's not stipulated in the contract that I have to print for them. If it's stipulated in the contract, make sure you get it scratched out, because you want to get a printer that is cheap and cost effective for you. So the cons, it's expensive. You don't have control over who does what. You still need to do your own marketing, and the printing prices are high. The pros are, they are experienced. It saves you time and energy. You keep the rights to your book, and you get good quality work. Any questions yet? No. All right. So that's the second type of publishing. The first is your traditional publishers. The second is your self-publishing companies. Third one is what I call self-publishing outsourcing. This is very similar to self-publishing companies, but instead of paying a company to do everything, you find people who do specific work. So you already know that when you're going to publish your book, these are the certain things that needs to be done. I'm going to need an editor. I'm going to need someone who can format my manuscript. I need someone who can design the cover. I need someone who can upload it onto the various sites if I don't know how to do it myself. And when you do self-publishing outsourcing, all you need to do is you find those people. And this is the type of publishing that I do. So usually I get a lot of messages. Hi, I'm looking to publish my book. Can you help me? I say yes, and I do it for them. So I give them a specific price for editing. I give them a specific price for formatting, a price for cover design, a price for uploading. So if you do want to publish your book, just pop me a message. I can help you publish your book, right? So, and this is also the type of publishing that I do personally. I find my own editors. I find my own cover designers, because I've gone through all four types of publishing, and I found, for me personally, self-publishing outsourcing is the best type of publishing for me to do, because a lot of it I can do it myself already, so it saves me money. So this one is cheaper than going through a company, but it also gives you a lot more control and responsibilities. I can find an editor, and I can negotiate prices with an editor with regards to how much it's going to cost. I can find a cover designer, and I can negotiate with a cover designer on how much it's going to cost. You can't do that with a self-publishing company. They have a set price. But with outsourcing, you can negotiate that price, and you can bring it lower. So if you're going to do this, this cost usually depends on the size of your book, because the biggest price in self-publishing is the editing price. So for a book that's around 50,000 words, think of something around 15,000 Rand that you're going to spend, compared to the 35,000 Rand you would spend through a self-publishing company. So this is perfect for people who want more control over the process. I know a lot of people, when they're getting the book out there, they have a bit of a control issue. It's completely fine, because you have now more control over, I get to decide who does the editing. And I can tell the editor, these are the negotiations I want. I want unlimited revisions. With my clients, when I edit their books, I tell them we have unlimited revisions. So you tell me, I do edits, tell me if you want changes. Then I do edits, then you tell me if you want changes. And we do that non-stop, back and forth, until they are happy. That's the power of outsourcing. You can choose who does what. So you can decide how your book wants to be formatted. You can decide how the cover must be created. You can get your own ISBN. In South Africa, to get an ISBN, it's completely free. I have no idea why companies are charging you for your ISBN, because ISBNs in South Africa is completely free. All my clients, I never charge them for ISBN, because literally all it takes is for me to send an email and they'll send me an ISBN, done. So I never charge for ISBNs. I charge for covers, I charge for formatting, I charge for editing. Because the printing price, I don't have my own printer. I'll send an email to my printer, they'll send a quote, and I send that directly to my clients, because it's unnecessary for me to put an extra price on top of that. So those are the only three things that I ever charge for, and then if they want me to upload it for them, then I charge a price for that also. But this is easy because you get to control the price, you get to control who does these things. That's the best part of self-publishing outsourcing. So before we go to the pros and cons, no questions? None. All right. Self-publishing outsourcing, pros and cons. We'll start with the pros. Number one is you have a lot more control. And for a lot of people, that's the best part, the fact that they get to decide who is doing what. It's terrible when you give your book to someone and you don't know what they're doing. But with self-publishing, outsourcing, you get to choose who does what. The price is varied. So if you have a very thin book, like a book that's around 20,000 words, you don't pay the same price as someone who has a book at 50,000 words. You don't pay the same price as someone whose book is 100,000 words. So you have to now figure out which is the best. My current novel that I'm writing is coming close to 300,000 words. The editing price on that will come to close to 60,000 Rand. That's a lot of money. So now I have to decide, okay, am I going to go self-publishing the route like I always do? Or am I going to rather find a traditional publisher who will do it for me completely free? But then I have to sell the rights to my book, which I know is incredible. Please pay attention when I tell you my book is incredible. And when it comes out, I know it's going to do well. I'm worried about, do I have to sell the rights to that book? Because it's going to be so good that I don't actually want to sell the rights to the book. But anyway, oh yes.
With regards to self-publishing, how can you guard against getting scammed?
Are we talking about, okay, so how do you go about getting scammed? It depends now on if you're going through a company or you're going through outsourcing. So if you're going through a company, then all you need to do is look at the books that they've already published before. So every company will show you what kind of books they've already published before. And you go check, are those books real? Find out, their prices will be around 30,000 Rand. So, you know, that's not a scam. With outsourcing, you have to look at the individual person who is doing those kind of things. Never, ever, 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 ever pay them up front. So, for example, what I do with my clients is when we do editing, they give me half up front, and I can only get the other half once they've agreed that the work is up to par. So if they say pay the money up front, do not pay the money up front, because it tells you they're going to take that money, then either they're not going to do the work or they're going to take their time doing the work, which you don't want to. You on a time. You have a time limit that you want to do. So very important. When we get to hybrid publishing is the one that people usually get scammed through. So that's the next one we'll talk about. But you have to worry about the price. If the price is like 6,000 Rand and they're offering you a full publishing suite, you know it's not going to be good quality, or you're getting scammed, because you pay for good quality things. And if you're paying 6,000 Rand to do for a company that does things that people pay 30,000 Rand for, you know they're probably scamming you. But we'll get to that when we get to hybrid publishing, because I feel that's a scam. No follow-up question on that? So the pros, you have a lot more control. The price is varied. You can negotiate your prices. Number 3, you keep the rights to your book, which is, again, self-publishing. That's why we do it. We want to keep the rights. And you control the speed of publishing. In 2021, I set a goal for myself. I want to write and publish 10 books in 1 year. Now, you can't do that if you get a traditional publisher, because it takes you 6 months to a year to actually publish. And you can't do that through a self-publishing company because they will not publish your book unless you pay that money up front. So if you haven't paid the money already, they're not going to. They usually let you pay off in installments. But I wanted to publish a book every single month because I was writing a book every single month. So in this manner, I had to go through outsourcing because I could actually handle who's doing the editing, who's doing the cover, and how quick they are doing it. So I could get a book, I could push a book out basically every single month because I control everything through self-publishing, outsourcing, and I control the speed of publishing. That's a pro, yeah.
Do you mind just giving a quick summary of the four methods of publishing? Some people are joining late and they just want to quick.
So the four methods are traditional publishing, self-publishing through a company, self-publishing through outsourcing, and hybrid publishing. Then after that, we're going to do two other ways you can get your book out. But those are the four generally accepted methods. Now, we've done traditional publishing already, and we've done self-publishing companies. The best part of traditional publishing is that it's free, but the biggest con is you sell the rights to your book and you get low royalties, so around 15% low royalties. Self-publishing companies is you get to keep your books, and they do good quality work, but it's expensive. It costs around 35,000 Rand to do that. We're now busy with self-publishing outsourcing, where it's cheaper than going through a company, but it gives you a lot more responsibility, where you have to find your own editor, your own cover designer, your own formatter, your own printer, you get your own ISBN, you have to do all of that work yourself, whereas through a company, they will handle everything for you. So we're going through the pros of that. So the pros of self-publishing outsourcing is you have a lot more control. The price is varied because you can negotiate. But generally think of it around 15,000 Rand if you have a book that's 50,000 words. You keep the rights to your book and you can control the speed of publishing. Those are the pros. The cons of outsourcing is, number one, you might make mistakes if you are inexperienced, and that comes back to the question on whatever scammed. You might choose a terrible editor, and that editor might give you terrible money for a lot of money, terrible work for a lot of money, so terrible work on your part. You might choose a bad cover designer, or you might sign off on a bad cover because you don't know what works in the industry. Your formatting might be terrible, or you skip formatting because you don't think that's important. You don't want to pay someone for that. Or like, for example, there are certain books that I've published where I didn't pay an editor. And you can see this terrible editing being done. I just self-edited because those are books that I don't really push that much. So I just thought, let me get it out. So you might skip certain things because in your mind it's not that important. So because you are inexperienced in it. And quality, you never want to skip on quality. So the other problem is you might get scammed, which is related to the question. You might find an editor that just scams you. They take your money and run with it. I got a phone call just yesterday of somebody who's asking me for help because they got scammed through their thing. They paid somebody to edit their book. That person took the money and ran. They couldn't find that person anywhere on social media. So you want to make sure that the person who's editing your book is credible. Do they have a good online presence? Or can you find them on Google? Can you find their website? Can you find them on social media? Because if they take your money and run, at least you know what those people, you can smear their name wherever you want to. So, it's difficult. You might get scammed on self-publishing outsourcing. It takes more effort on your part. You're going to have to be very good with communication. I know someone, one of my last few clients who published now in April, is a lady from Ohio. She first had an editor, so she only paid me to do some formatting work, but she got an editor on Fiverr. This person did terrible work, and as an author, I couldn't allow her to publish like that. So I did the editing and the formatting. I did the editing for free, and that would have cost at least 12,000 Rand, but I did the editing for free because it was so terrible the way that they edited her book that I just couldn't leave it like that. And that's because she went the cheap route. She paid 4,000 Rand for a book that should have cost 12,000 Rand to edit. So if you're looking for cheap prices, that's the best way to get scammed, because you're looking for how can I save money, which is not a good thing. So it takes more effort on your part because you have to be in communication with these people. For me personally, I like it. I love working with people that I can communicate with, that I can choose what to do. And I love it when people communicate back very frequently, because I don't like it when you have to send somebody a message and they take 3 days to reply. I hate that. I want someone where I can communicate and I know what's happening. And then again, like every single publishing house, you need to do your own marketing. You have to do your own marketing. On another live one day, I will do marketing for authors. But for now, note that marketing is a very difficult. People write their books and they never sell books, because marketing is a completely different game. Writing books is one thing, selling books is a different thing. So, cons, you might make mistakes if you are inexperienced. Number 2, you might get scammed. Number 3, it takes more effort on your part. And number 4, you still need to do your own marketing. The pros are you have a lot more control. The price is varied, so you can negotiate your price. You keep the rights to your book and you control the speed. You can publish literally within a month. I had somebody who got through a hybrid publisher, and she wasn't very happy with the work. She paid them money, so she paid them 6,000 Rand to publish. She had the physical book in her hand already, edited, cover design, everything printed. She hated every part of it. She hated the cover, she hated the editing, she hated the formatting, she hated literally everything. And she said, I already planned the book launch, but I hate how the book looks. Can you help me? And I helped her plan redo her entire book. I did the whole editing, all the formatting, all the cover design within 3 weeks, and we got all the books. We got her books printed. At her book launch, she had at least 200 pre-sales. Pre-sales. In other words, before the book was even there, she got sales from it, which is excellent. So that's why I love self-publishing outsourcing. Any questions? None yet. All right. Now we go to hybrid publishing. And hybrid publishing is the one that I have a personal gripe with, because I feel these are the ones who are scamming people. These are the publishers that you will find most of the time on Facebook. So usually with traditional publishers, you will find them usually on Instagram, or you went to go look for them on Google, right? That's where you'll find your traditional publishers. Your self-publishing companies, you will find them on Google. They will usually advertise on Google, right? And they are usually the first ones you see because they sponsored posts. But hybrid publishers is the ones that you will find most of the time on Facebook. They will have a graphic. They will tell you what they will do for you, and they will give you a price, and that price is usually around 6,000 to 15,000 Rand. Now, 15,000 Rand is still okay, but 6,000 Rand, if you're seeing 6,000 Rand, no, do not take it. This is not a good option for you, because you're not going to get good quality work for 6,000 Rand. Companies charge 30,000 Rand to do that same thing for a reason, because it costs money to do these things. To get good quality work, you pay for it. So if you see a publisher saying they can do all of this, they can do editing, cover design, formatting, printing for 6,000 Rand, just know you're going to get trash, because you paid for that. You paid for trash. So be very careful when you see these hybrid publishers. Now, hybrid publishing, why they call it hybrid, is because it's a mix between self-publishing and traditional publishing. And it's not a mix in a good way. It's a mix of all the cons. So, the con of self-publishing is that you have to pay, obviously. The con of traditional publishing is that they take your rights. With hybrid publishing, they do both. You pay and they take the rights to your book. So, usually what happens is, the reason why they charge only 6,000 Rand is because they're taking the rights to your book. Now, the reason why people love hybrid publishing is because it's much cheaper than a normal self-publishing company. Whereas you pay 35,000 Rand or 15,000 or 16,000 Rand through outsourcing, a hybrid publisher will charge you 6,000. And you think, oh wow, what a bargain. But then they take the rights to your book still. They still take the rights to your book, and you get low quality work. So you're gonna have to think of, is it worth it actually paying that 6,000 Rand, or would you rather go through a traditional publisher or outsourcing or self-publishing company? But this hybrid publishing again is perfect for people who are on an extremely low budget. So if you are on extremely low budget and you are standing on ground, you do not want to wait years to traditionally publish, then go through a hybrid publisher. And this is also perfect for people who just want to do it as a life goal. They don't care about sales. They don't care about making money. They just had a dream. They want to always publish a book before they die. Okay, for them, it's perfect. Go through hybrid publishing because it's cheap. You'll get the book done. The book will be out. You won't make a lot of sales because of low quality. But again, it's just something that you can have on your shelf to show your children. That's hybrid publishing. You can tell I'm not a fan. If you have gone through hybrid publishing, put it in the chat. And tell us your story, because I know a lot of people who've gone through hybrid publishers and they were so upset. I had a lady who phoned me telling me she's so upset with this publisher. I'm not going to smear the publisher's name, but they are upset with the publisher because the publisher took the rights to the book, published the book on Amazon without even telling them the book is on Amazon. So the book is on Amazon before the book launch even. The cover is terrible. The editing is terrible. She had to pay a different editor to edit the book rather, and pay that publisher at the same time. So I've heard a lot of people get scammed through hybrid publishers, and the reason is because you're paying for low quality stuff. They use that 6,000 Rand to do your book. And with 6,000 Rand to do a book, you can't do much. So they don't put a lot of work into your book. Any questions on that? All right, let's go through the cons and the pros of hybrid publishing. So the pros is, number one, it is cheap, very cheap, 6,000 Rand to get the whole publishing done. It's quick. You can also publish in a month, obviously. And then number three, they have some experience in publishing. If you think of a normal, if you have to do it on your own compared to them doing it, they do have more experience in publishing because they've done this before. But again, that doesn't mean that they're going to give good quality work. So those are the pros. I don't have a lot of good to say about them. Cons, you sell the book rights to them. So you pay them and you sell the book rights. Right? Number two, you might get scammed like a lot of people do. I got all three of my clients have gone through hybrid publishing. They've paid me, and they were rather happy to pay me even more than what they paid the hybrid publishing to get good quality work out, and they were happy with the quality of work that came out. Because through the hybrid publisher, they lost a lot of money. So you might get scammed. Generally, it's low quality work. The cover design was made on Canva or something. Or they just took stock images and put a name on there. The paper that you're printing is terrible, or they charge you excessive amounts to print your book, and they don't even have their own printers. They get a printer who prints your work. So let's say the printer says it's going to cost 40 Rand to print a book. So they will tell you, okay, it's going to cost you 60 Rand because they add the extra 20 Rand on it, their own personal 20 Rand on it. So it costs low quality work, the cover is terrible, the editing is very light. They just put it through Grammarly and check it through Grammarly. They don't do actual editing. The formatting is terrible, so I just have bad things to say about them. Low royalties. The royalty payments for hybrid publishers is around 30%. So with a traditional publisher, the royalty payment is even lower, 15%. With a hybrid, it's 30%. But again, why are you getting royalties? Why are you selling your book if you already had to pay for it? It just doesn't make sense to me. And then again, you still need to do your own marketing. Marketing is always a problem. We will talk about that eventually. Let's go through the pros again quickly. It's cheap, around 6,000. It's quick. You can publish in a month, and they have some experience in publishing. Those are the pros. Cons, you sell your book rights, you might get scammed, low quality work, low royalties, and you must still do your own marketing. Not good. Any questions? None. All right, so just a marketing note. Just so that people have a good understanding of what I mean when I say marketing is always a big problem. It's very important to understand that just because your book is published, it does not mean that it will sell. When my first book got published, I only made 3,000 Rand through at the book launch because it was just family and friends that bought the book. And then I waited, hey guys, where's the sales? There was no sales. In my mind at that time, I had a very small mindset. I was thinking of Noah's Ark. You know, in Noah's Ark, you build it and all the animals come. I thought, okay, you write the book and people and the sales just come. It doesn't work. You have to actually go out and do marketing for your book. Otherwise, nobody's going to buy. I was thinking, you know, I'm a colored guy from Mitchell's Plain. People think, you know, let's support local. You know how people say it on Facebook. It's not true. They don't support local. They don't support you. No matter what. They will share and that's it. They won't buy your book. You have to actually do marketing and you have to figure out what's the best way to do marketing. Whether you have a traditionally published, whether you have a trad publisher or you are self-published, you have to put in a lot of marketing work. And even if your book is in the stores, it doesn't mean it's going to get sales. I had a consultation call with somebody who was crying, literally crying on the call with tears in their eyes because their books have been in the stores for 6 months and not a single one has made a sale. Not a single one. How do you do it? And I had to tell them, listen, just because your book is in the store, it doesn't mean it's going to make sales. You have to push for that. There's a reason why when you enter exclusive books, there's a whole section dedicated to BookTok made me buy it. Because BookTok is pushing those kinds of books forward and people run to the stores to buy those books because they saw it on TikTok. Those books were marketed. So if you are an author and you have a book, just because you publish, it doesn't mean you're going to make sales. You need to make sure you build an audience. He who controls an audience controls the money. If you have an audience, it's likely that you're going to make sales. And generally the idea is 3 months before you do the launch, you want to start marketing your book. So let's say you finish writing, your book is edited, it's ready to get published. Maybe you have a cover already. Now you start marketing and you put it in 3 months in advance. This is when I'm going to launch because you want to get pre-sales. Pre-sales means you don't actually have to pay for the printing of the book. The pre-sales will handle all of that, but that cost. So you want to make sure before you launch, put 3 months more if you can of marketing into it. Set yourself a goal. Say if I don't have 150 pre-sales, I'm not going to launch. I will only launch once I already have 150 pre-sales. That's how you figure out your marketing scheme. So, and you want to build an audience. So that is marketing. Now, I did promise that I would go through 2 other options to publish a book. And we had a question. What was the question again?
With regards to
ebooks, Wattpad. Oh, yes. All right. So what other platforms? So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do ebook publishing and you can do dream stories, right? Those are the 2 types of publishing that you can do as an alternative. These are options where you don't have a physical book, but just ebooks. With Wattpad, you don't make any money. Understand with Wattpad, if you want to make sales, you don't go through Wattpad. Wattpad is mainly for people just to test out their work. So you can put your work on Wattpad. I know quite a few people do it just to test what people are saying about it. And then they'll remove it off Wattpad and put it on Amazon Kindle to see, okay, because I know my book is good and now I can make sales. So that's a good thing about Wattpad. Let's talk about ebook publishing. So obviously, if you're going to go through any one of these 4, if you're going to go through traditional publishing, self-publishing companies, self-publishing outsourcing, or hybrid publishing, they are going to publish your book as an ebook also. That's natural. But Your other option is you can completely skip the print and just e-publish. And I know people who do that and they make good money through it. They just go straight through to ebook publishing because they have an audience already who just buys the ebooks. And for me personally, my ebooks sell better than my physical books. So e-publishing is perfect, is a must for anyone who aims to publish. What you can do is you can do it completely for free. So what happens is you will do self-editing. You don't find the editor. You do the editing yourself. Find editing software. You do the editing yourself. It won't be good quality, but it's done. So you will have edited your own book. Then you can make your own cover. You can make your own cover with Canva or Kindle Create or Photoshop if you know how to do it. Some people make I have a book called Your Book is Better Than a Business Card. I wrote that book in 2 days. I self-published it myself. I didn't get an editor. I didn't get a cover designer. I did it myself just because it's a free book. I don't plan on making money from it. So that book I put out completely for free. If you want, go on to my Amazon page or go on to my website, www.kylejanchisauthor.com. That book is there for free. Your Book is Better Than a Business Card. That book cover I created myself. I went on to Canva. I typed in on Canva they have an AI thing where I just typed in books as a business card. It gave me an image. I put that on as a book cover and I typed in title. Done. I self-edited my book and I published on Amazon Kindle for free. There's no physical copy of the book because I didn't plan on making money on the book. That book is available on Amazon for free. And that book gets at least $100 downloads per month because it's completely for free. So you can do that for free. So you can do it because if you publish on Amazon Kindle, again, you don't even need an ISBN. Amazon Kindle doesn't require you to have an ISBN. They give you an ASIN number, ASIN. You get an ASIN number on your book. So you don't even need an ISBN. They will do all of that. So you can get your book on e-platforms completely for free. You can get your book on Rakuten Kobo completely for free. You can get your book on Tolino for free. You can get your book on Barnes & Noble, the e-site for free. You can get your book on, what's the other one? Apple Books for free. There's a site called Draft2 Digital. Write this down. Draft, the number 2, and digital. That is a site where you can publish a book on all these different websites completely for free at once. So you go on Draft2 Digital, make yourself a profile, upload your front cover, your ebook cover, upload your manuscript as a Word document. Don't do it as a PDF. As a Word document or as a EPUB. Upload it on there. Put your descriptions on. Just click. I want it on these different sites. Click. Put your price up there. And done. Click publish. Within a few days, you'll have your book published there. Then you're making sales. Well, if you want to make sales from there. But that's an easy way to do it. Right? Again, it's a free option, but you won't get high quality work because you're doing the editing yourself, you're doing the cover yourself. But you will have your book out eventually. So that's e-publishing. Are there any questions on that? And then the last thing was dream stories. Now, dream stories is something that I heard of recently. Please understand that I am not recommending it. It is just an option that I'm giving out to people. Dream Stories is a site that will pay you for your book. So they will give you one upfront payment. So you go to Dream Stories, you say, hey, this is only for fiction writers, by the way. Hey, I've written this book. I want to publish it on your website. They'll say, okay. And they'll give you $50 for your book. And your book now belongs to them. That's the entire transaction. You give your book to them, and they give you $50. Now, you can make a lot more money through self-publishing on Amazon Kindle, but for that, you'll have to push and market your book, because if you're not marketing, you're going to make less than $50. But with But with Dream Stories, you get that $50 upfront. Again, $50 is not a lot. But if you live in somewhere like Nigeria or something where $50 converted to Naira is a lot, then maybe it's good for you. There are other places like that does the same thing as Dream Stories, like Webtoons. I think Webtoons pays you $600. But for that, you have to publish. You have to publish a massive novel for like I know somebody who's published a book that has about 350,000 words on Webtoons. You have to publish a chapter every single day, so every day you put a chapter up, and they paid us $600. Now, if you have already written a book and it's been on your computer for the last 6 years, and you think, you know what, I just want to get this book out. I don't care about actually being an author or being known as an author. I just want to get this book out. Then go to Dream Stories or go to Webtoons, because all you have to do is you publish, you copy your chapter, paste it, copy your chapter, everything that you paste it, and then you get money from that. There's a quick $600 for you. But if you are aiming to be an author, do not take this route. If you want to be known as an author and you want to make more money than $600, do not take this route, because you can make more money than $600 through self-publishing. The only thing you will have to understand is that with that comes a lot of marketing if you want to be known and if you want to make money. So put a lot of marketing work into it. Again, I don't recommend this. I am only giving it because I'm giving you all the options so that you can decide which is the best option for you. So let's just go over the 4 again. The 4 options are traditionally trad publishers, where it's completely free to publish, but you sell the rights to your book and you get a 15% royalty. Self-publishing companies, where you keep the rights to your book and you get good quality work, but it's expensive, 35,000 Rand. Self-publishing outsourcing, where you can control the price, think of something around 15,000, but it's a lot more responsibility on your part. And then hybrid publishing, where it's very cheap, 6,000 Rand, but you're still selling the rights to your book and you still get a low royalty payment out of that. Those are the 4 options: trad publishing, self-publishing companies, self-publishing outsourcing, and hybrid publishing. And if you don't want to go through those 4 methods, you can just publish a book on these e-sites or on Dream Stories. No questions? Awesome, then that is it. That's everything that I have to say on this topic. Again, if you want to publish your book, pop me a message, comment under one of my videos. We'll talk. I'll send you my number. I've been on calls, and I'll tell you again also, these are what do you think is the best? If you tell me this is my budget, I can tell you, okay, this is the best option for you. Advice is free. I don't charge for advice. I don't know why people are charging for advice. I give advice for free. That's why I'm doing this for free. But if you want to publish a book, pop me a message and I can help you. If you want to write your book, pop me a message. I'm a book coach. I usually help pastors with their books, but I've helped people from all different industries. If you want to write your book and you don't know how, and you've been wanting to write your book, that book idea has been in your head for 2 years, come to me. We'll work on it, and I'll get your book. We'll get your book written, we'll get your book published, we'll get your book launched, and you will be officially a published author. Thank you.